Well, 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 Zeno, right on time. Look at that. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this phantasmical world. I'm just about to share my screen one more second, guys. Hey, yo. What's up, Zeno? How's it going, buddy? Alright. Last time on Brendon Does ZBrush, we were working on getting some final details for this guy. Just some housekeeping before we send him off for baking. So, last episode we were working on... Actually, you know what? Let's just do the obligatory. Who is this? What's going on? And where did it come from? So this is a concept from Adrian Wilkins. Is his name? I'll actually get you guys the info. Adrian Wilkins. He did a really he does amazing work. You probably know some of his work, I'm sure. But he, with conjunction with a couple of his fellow artists, did a bunch of concepts for Horizon Zero Dawn. So I was like, this guy is amazing. Amazing. I think what really drew me to this one particularly was a good mix of hard surface with more organic stuff, right? And there's really awesome material differentiations too, between like this really hard leather, you know, like kind of a tweed border with you know, some soft cotton, you know, thin leather, you know, belt leather. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just a cool guy. He's a cool guy. Seemed like one of those guys that you could hang out with in the Hickville, you know? Anyways, I thought it was a pretty cool concept. It was different from, you know, just a big beefy barbarian or something like that, you know? So, I thought it would be fun to do. Test my skills on that one. So that's what I did. I'll actually put the link here for you guys. So there's a link if you want to check out Adrian. He's got some really amazing work. And you should check him out. Okay, but this is where we are. Let me hide that. There we go. So, let's see my perspective on. Let's put this to 28. Okay. What's up, Bo the Sneak? Bo the Snack? You'll have to pardon me, it's 6 a.m. on a Saturday here, and I gotta be drinking coffee in your ear, so I apologize ahead of time. So anyways, yeah, we've spent a lot of time on this guy over the last, most of last year actually, on the ZBrush channel here. So if you're interested in going back and watching some of those earlier episodes for the block-ins and how I was doing a lot of the leather details and so on, it's available on ZBrushLive.com under my channel, or my page, or whatever. Let's just give you an idea of some of the details that I've been going through and doing. I really wanted to make sure that in this particular case I was able to, just in the sculpt, be able to portray different materials. Yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Again, this one has been I think it's pretty much mostly I did all of this on the ZBrush streams, so a lot of it is there. There were some that I didn't, so maybe a little bit of some holes, but most of it is there, and that's why it's kind of taken me a while to get this far, because I'm only doing I don't know, 4 hours worth of work a month on it. So no, it's okay, Bo. Yeah, it's possible. Um, yeah, I was playing on earlier on. I was playing with a little bit more characterized proportions. Ultimately, I brought it back a little bit more towards I don't know. I harken to say believability, but I had them a lot bigger in the beginning, but I roped them back in just for creative decisions. So yeah, I see what you're saying for sure. How do you get those alphas, and how do you put them in ZBrush? I would suggest going to a website called Surface Mimic. They have a lot of great alphas. There's a lot of other people out there that have alphas as well. But basically all you have to do is just go to your standard brush and then just go to alpha and then just import whatever that alpha is, right? So like let's say I imported that one. Then for most of this leather I use drag rec, and I'll use just the regular standard brush. Surface Mimic, I think it's surfacemimic.com. I think that's what it's called. That may be. Yeah, no problem. No problem. How long should it take if this was in production? I typically say a AAA character from start to finish should be around about a month to a month and a half of full-time work. Between 1 month and 2, depending on depending on a lot of things. Depending on your, is it a main character? Is it a background character? Is it going to have blend shapes? Is it going to have hair? There's a lot of things that will determine how long it's going to take, but probably for this guy I'd say about a month and a half to 2 months worth of full-time work, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. This guy has taken me a lot longer than that. Yeah, for texturing, yes, I will be doing it in Substance. That's the idea. So what I've done in this guy's textures is really just put in the characterized or the very specific details of the texture that a lot of repeating textures, it would be a little bit more tough. So I wanted to have a little bit more creative control over how some of these details were happening in some of the materials. So you'll notice that some of the spots, the bare spots in here, like in here and here, those ones will be filled in with whatever material that I use. So it's kind of a fun balance these days of what do you sculpt into your sculpt versus what do you rely on the material for, right? So there's a fine balance these days as to what you sculpt in and what you use in materials. So in this particular guy, you'll notice some texturing holes, like in here and here, but that's mostly because I wanted to just sculpt in the big characterized pieces, and then the rest will be filled in with material. I think you can do stitches and micro details in Substance. I think it's just kind of what you are comfortable with, honestly. Usually for me, like in these stitches here, if they're bigger stitches, will use insert mesh brush. That way because I usually what I'll do is I'll bake material ID map from here, and if this is a separate mesh, then all I have to do is fill this with, let's do group visible. We'll do this in group visible. So when I'm getting ready to bake, I'll make sure that this is a different polygroup color than whatever it's up against. And when I export, I'll just go into polypaint and do polypaint from polygroups. Right? So what that does is why aren't you? I think it's because I'm on a layer. Polypaint from polygroup. Polypaint from polygroup. Do I have a mask on? No. Why isn't it not doing it? Okay, well let's just do this. Okay, why isn't it not doing it? Let's go into layers real quick. Let's just bake all. There we go. Sometimes when you're doing color stuff in layers, it gets a little wonky. So I just baked it all just for the second. So basically what I would do is, because I know that I'm going to bake this ID map, I specifically make it a separate mesh so that I can have that separation when I bake it into Substance Painter. So that's one of the reasons why I'll use separate meshes, for at least for larger stitches that I want to be able to pull out. Okay, now we undo that. Okay, cool. Good. Yeah, once you have sculpting layers, and then you mix in polypaint stuff, layers get really weird. I would highly suggest either duping your subtool out and baking all of the layers and then doing polypaint, or just completely just doing polypaint in a separate subtool. Yeah, Bo. That was like one of the really big things that I wanted to do with this guy, is really just like have readable textures from the sculpt, right? So there, like I said, there's a fine balance between what you, because when you sculpt in ZBrush, you're dedicated to that, right? So if you want to do a different material, then things get a little bit weird. Like if I want to do a fiber weave or something as an alternate material for this leather area, I'm pretty much screwed, you know, because I've baked all of this leather style of material properties into the actual sculpt. So I'm limiting myself, but I feel it feels a lot better if you make the decision to dedicate that material early on. Then you can get a lot more specific details, and it doesn't look like a material is just kind of slapped on there as a repeating texture. You know what I mean? So it gives a little bit more character. Ashen, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Ashen's been around for a long time. He's seen this guy in his early stages. Yeah, Essen, I think it was the layers. They just act weird. Yeah, exactly. That's what I did earlier. Is I used layers for a lot of that material. So what we were doing was just kind of buttoning up a lot of this extra stuff, doing some housekeeping, and like finishing out some of these textures. So like this trim stuff I didn't finish all the way around here, so I want to do that real quick. Maybe add a little bit more details to the pants. At some point I really want to attempt this belt buckle system that he's got here. Every time I try to do it, I'm like, nah, I'll do it later. Nah, I'll do it later. It's later. So it's at some point I want to try to do that. So I think I'm going to work on getting this trim a little bit more towards where we are quality-wise with this trim. So I'll show you guys what and how I've done that. Yeah, so like this trim and that trim. So let's do that real quick, and then if we have time, yeah, Ingo should be right on the bottom, right there. It's just a Twitch at Brendon Isaiah Bengtson, right there. Doot, doot, doot. And my plan is, once I get back to actually streaming on my own personal page, is to do all the retopo, do the UVing in Modo, and then baking in Marmoset Toolbag 3, and then texturing in Substance Painter 2, and then back to Marmoset Toolbag 3 for final rendering. Okay. Let's actually get in and do some. Let's get our hands a little dirty here. Okay, so for this guy, so I just have a couple layers right now. There's some. Oh, awesome! I did that on that, so perfect. So there's just some stitch holes. And it looks like I put some stitch holes in the actual leather as well. So I went ahead and did a little bit of specific leather working in here. I think I did it over here. Yeah, right here. No, apparently that was... Oh, here it is, this one. So like this. Yeah. Anyways, so we'll go ahead and just let's create a new layer. We'll call this trim deets. Dem deets, bro. All right. So for this one, I actually used excuse me, the slash brush. I think it was /3 is what I used, just to make sure. I'm going to go back and I like looking kind of deep in within the extra brushes that are provided with ZBrush that don't come up in the brush palette. So like in slash, you know what, I think I used /2 for this. That's what I want to think. So it has like this really nice, let's see, I'll show you. I'll show you. Alright, so it has like this really nice, like it pulls up on one side and it's almost perpendicular on the other side. And the same thing for going back the other way. So you can get like this nice, almost parallel look. Let's just make sure that the settings look good before we roll. So like you can get like this kind of nice overlapping look, right? Yeah, Ingo, hold on. Twitch.tv/Brendon Isaiah Bengtson. There you go. That should be it. Yes, that's the one. So yeah, that's why I used /2, because it has this really nice So I can go this way, and then I can come back the other way, and it will look like it's coming from the other side, right? Now it looks like, let's see if I have enough geo on this guy. 4 million should definitely be enough. So maybe I'm going to turn down my Z intensity a little bit. And think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use morph targets, because I want to be able to just kind of go frilly nilly on this, but I don't want to mess up this. No problem, Engu. Engo. I think that's how you say it. Jehope. I think that's how you spell it. By the way, guys, I'm horrible at Twitch names, so if I murder your name, I apologize ahead of time. Yeah, for usually what I'll do is when I'm doing blockout, if the person has hair, I'll just do a quick Fibermesh, nothing too crazy, just to kind of get the overall feel. So if I'm showing this to an art director or showing this to somebody else, they get the feeling for the character. By no means would I use this Fibermesh for baking. I would use hair cards and do it all in the low poly way later. So really I just use Fibermesh for kind of look dev and for selling the character during this time. So you know, your art director comes around or somebody else comes around, you know, lead character artist, whoever it's going to be, they'll come around and you'll be able to sell what you're doing better because it looks closer to it. So alright, let's go back into layers. We're doing trim deets. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete any morph target that I had and then store a new morph target. Basically yeah man, no problem. What that's going to do is I'll be able to just kind of come in here. You can do this at varying depths as well, just by using different pen pressure. And then I can come into brush, M for morph, O for morph, and then I'll just morph that back out. You could do this with mask or whatever, but for me, I find just doing a morph target works really good. What's up, Harsh? Just practice, man. Practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice. And then I'll just come back. So usually what I'll do is if I'm going to go through and do this to everything, I want to make sure that I have just 1 or 2 steps for this process that I'm going to end up doing to kind of sell this, to make sure that it looks good before I dedicate the full time to it, right? So slash morph target, and then just a quick, very quick smooth, just to kind of get some of those ridges out, and I think that should be good enough. Let's go back to my /2. So I think that can work. Then let's go ahead and do it the other way a couple of times. Again, I want to make sure that this isn't too uniform, so I need to vary it up somewhat. Maybe I can actually do, we can get some kind of separation in here. I don't think I'm going to use the slash brush for that. I think I'm going to use just the damn standard. Okay, so let's go back to our morph brush. Let's pull this out here. Let's go to just a quick smooth. So early on I like to establish just a quick pipeline for the method for getting something that I want. That way it's easily recreatable. If I ever, when I come back, let's say, you know, tomorrow or the next day I come back and I want to make sure that I remember how to do that, that it's not this huge complicated process. It's just something, a couple quick steps, and I'll be able to easily recreate it. And then I'll probably come back in with my dam standard and then just pull some of these details in. Let's get rid of lazy mouse. Alright, and then we'll just vary this up just a little bit in here, just so it really sells these different layers. It doesn't have to be super crazy, just so that the read is giving me the right look. You know what I mean? Just starting using the topology brush. Also to make some accessories and all, but when I start to cut and make the faces, sometimes it connects to the back part and there's a lot of mess. How can I avoid this? That's a really, really good question, Seema. And you know who would be a really good person to ask is either Danny Mac, who also streams on here, or Shane Olson. When he streams on here, they do a lot of low poly stuff. I don't really ever do any ZBrush. Topology brush stuff in here. So unfortunately, I'm not a good person to answer that. I hate to put it on somebody else, but I'd hate to give you the wrong answer. I mostly just do high-res sculpting in ZBrush. Sorry, man. Hard surface was hell for me for a long time until I just spent time doing it. You know. Practice. Yeah, sorry about that, Simawat. I wish I could give you the answer to that one. Alas, I must reckon with my weakness. Alright, so I feel like that looks pretty cool, right? I feel like we're getting some good separation in here. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll do like a quick inflate on this side, just to give it that extra, like, this is ducking in, and we're getting an extra little lip here. And I always want to make sure that my far away read reads the way that I want it to, and my close-up read also looks the way that I want it to. So what I'm going to do is, let's take a look. Alright, so like that extra little lip that I just put in gives us a really nice nod to, okay, this material kind of ducks in, and this material is separate from that. You know what I mean? Yeah, Danny uses it a lot, and Shane Olson does too. Right. So then this is looking pretty cool. I also want to make sure that when when I'm doing these borders too, I want to make sure that, you know, I vary things up as much as possible, because in real life it's you get a lot more variables than you would think. Right, so if I just kind of break that up a little bit, maybe this is thinner down here, you know, and then I think what I can do too is go back with another round of dam standard, and then in here I can actually vary up some of that depth a little bit, you know, like maybe I'll do a little bit more in there, a little bit more through there, just so that I get a lot of variability. what I'm looking at right here is the variance in the shadow depth, right? So I'm looking at grayscale values right now. Right now, you know, this grayscale value is not as deep as this one, right? So what I'm looking at specifically here is a lot of the most dark areas are really the same kind of across this board, and that's what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get some of those deeper values just by putting it, you know, getting a little bit more depth in there will give me some nice variance in those darker values as well too, so you get better read, right? And maybe we need even more inflate now. Some of this, like a larger inflate, where this is all kind of like a lot of the weight is coming down. You know, maybe it actually kind of comes in like this too, right? So you kind of get the weight as it like just it's been vertical for so long that everything kind of starts slipping a little bit. Oh, the top of brush is off. I mean, the perspective is off. Nice. That's a good one. I didn't know that one. This was 100% made in ZBrush, except for the body. The body and head was an actual scan from 3D Scan Store. So let's talk about scans of base meshes for a second. As a production artist, as a character production artist, if you're working in studio, very, very, very few times will you actually have to create your base mesh. Most of the time, your head, male and female, are already made with UVs. For a lot of different reasons. A lot of times you'll have a base mesh for male, female, and a couple of different styles of body. So most of the time that stuff will already be there for you. It's to cut down on production time. You don't want to have to invent the wheel every single time that you create a new character, especially if it's a humanoid character. So in this process, I really wanted to show that, yes, it's okay, in my opinion, to start work from scans, because that shows that you know how to, and that you know time is really important, and that you can kind of pick up and go from that. Macau! Dude, what's up, man? Hey, man, I saw you, Makoa. I think it's Makoa. Yeah, dude. How have you been, brother? Man, I haven't seen you in forever. I've seen a couple of notifications that you've been streaming lately, man. It's great to see you back on the Twitch, brother. It's been a while, man. It's been a while. It's great to see you back on, man. Guys, got to go check out Makoa. He's been around on Twitch for a while. Does some really, really awesome work. A lot of varied work too. Last time I saw you were doing game design, man. He did a lot of work with Moto. He's done a lot of work. I'd go check out Makoa. Gabriel, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Okay, so I feel like this this process is pretty good. I'm okay with this, and if some of these slashes, if I ever want to come back and be like, nah, I don't like this, I can just easily come in with my move brush and just kind of adjust some of these, right? No biggie. Oh, you switched to 3ds Max now? All right. What happened? You don't like Moto anymore? That's sad, man. That's sad. Okay, so let's continue with the next row here. So now what I'll do is I'm I'm going to store a new morph target because I want to just kind of go willy-nilly with this. And I don't want to have to go back. So I'm going to delete the previous one. If I ever wanted to get back to that previous one, it's easy. All I have to do is come back in here, turn off this layer, and then store another morph target, right? If I want to get back there. But I'm okay where I'm at now. So I'm going to store a new morph target. Let's go back to my slash brush. And let's just make sure that record is on. Another thing too is I want to make sure that, you know, I avoid this continuity because I really want to make sure that these are two separate pieces. So I want to avoid that. You know, sometimes you'll get it where they overlap a little bit or they kind of meet up. That's fine, as long as it's not every single one of them. So I'm specifically varying up the depth that I do these and the angle. And yeah. So what are you working on nowadays, Makoa? Indy, what's up, man? How are you, buddy? I'm going to be using Marmoset Toolbag 3 to do my baking. I absolutely love their baking tools now. So let's make sure that the reed is looking good. Yeah. I want to have enough different chunks in here that when I step back, and I want to make sure that I'm getting something similar to what I'm seeing up here. Doing any low-res retop and baking for this character. Yes, I will be doing that, but since it's not in ZBrush, I'm going to do those on my personal channel. So if you guys would like to follow me on my personal channel, here's the link. It's just my full name, Brendon Isaiah Bengtson. TwitchTV.BrendonIsaiahBengtson. So if you guys want to follow me there, it's going to be a little bit more of a slow process on that side, just because I don't have a lot of time these days. But I really want to finish this guy at some point. So the plan is to do all that stuff on my personal channel because I want to make sure that the stuff that I'm doing on ZBrush channel is ZBrush related. Do you know what I mean? Cool, man. Well, yeah. That's the plan. Alright, so let's make sure that these borders are pretty well defined. Alright, let's see what you're working on, Mako. Whoa! That's trippy. That's trippy, dude. That's freaking cool, man. Yeah, it does right. Yeah, it's got a little bit of event horizon to it for sure. Or Cloverfield paradox, if I may. Okay. Probably one other thing that I want to do at this point is, so I want to make sure that this isn't getting too flat here. So what I can do is, even though I'm still in recording mode, I can go down to, say, like layer subdivision 2, maybe 3. Come on, 3. There we go. So I don't want to mess with those nice details, so what I want to do is come down to a lower subdivision level and maybe just hit that with a quick inflate. Just to get a little bit more of that ridge. Maybe we'll push this in. Now we'll go back up to 6. And that's what a really nice thing that you can get with using different subdivision levels when you're doing high res, is to be able to jump down to lower subdivision level, work on the underlying shape, and then not affect the details that you have on a higher. Nah, man, that was pretty sick too, dude. You do some awesome work, Mako. Okay, so this is okay. Maybe we'll hit this with a little bit of smooth. Not too much, because I really don't want to kill it. I just want to get rid of some of that stepping. I had problems with the inflate brush for a while too. You really got to you gotta use it sparingly, I think is a good word for it. Okay, so I feel like that's working alright. So let's continue. I'm going to, let's delete the morph target and store a new one. Yeah, you just got to use it really light-handed. Very light-handed. Yeah, you have to remember, you know, where you use it and how you use it is important. All right, let's see if I can just kind of roll through some of this. I'll just switch this up a little bit. It looks like I may have to smooth some of this stuff out. Looks like I accidentally baked that leather detail in. Alright, so let's talk about how you fix things, right? How am I going to fix? I think I would just use these fixes on a separate layer. Or may I just do it in trim deets? Let's do that real quick. Yeah, less is definitely more sometimes. Okay, so let's say I need to go back in and clean this up. What I would do is I would probably start down in subdivision level and then work my way up those subdivision levels, because I want to make sure that I maintain the shape. Maybe subdivision 4 is better. Yeah. So we'll just do just a quick sculpt. Quick. What do you call this? Smooth? That's what we call it. Smooth. I tend to take screenshots that are showing the brush, its settings, and the result I'm getting. Yeah, that's another one of those things where if you're using a specific brush at a specific like size and Z intensity, it may be a good idea to either remember that or write it down or screenshot it so that you can come back and get consistent results later, you know what I mean? So I want to do this at a lower subdivis, and then I'll just go back up from there, right? So now that 4 is good, I come back in 5, and then we'll just, again, what I'm doing is I'm using my alt smooth, which is start smoothing and then let go of shift. And what that does is it tries to keep the overall surface the same and just normalizes the surface in that area. Instead of smoothing down the entire shape, it just takes a look at the surface and tries to normalize things without killing the shape. Yeah, it's a good tactic pre-drag. And so, okay, so then feel like that's okay. And then let's march back up to 6. So you'll see that I've kept the What's up, Alavi Art? How you doing, man? Your name is green on my screen, so I couldn't see it. I was like, what? What is that? Alavi Art. What's up, man? Sorry, I just got here. What's that? Give me 1 second, Mr. Hanko, Mr. Hacko, and I'll. It's been a little bit since I've talked about what this project is, so give me a second, and we'll step out and we'll take a look at the full thing here. So the reason why I stepped down in Subdiv is because now instead of trying to smooth this amount in this subdivision, it's actually more like this, right? It's more surface detail. So if you step down in your subdivisions and smooth on each layer coming back up, it becomes much easier to kind of get rid of some of those details. I'm not going to make it completely smooth because I like some of the surface variations that are happening. So I'm going to use just a little bit of that. There. Fixed. Cool. Alright, let's take a look at the full dude here. So this is a character that I've been working on for quite a while now, mostly on the ZBrush stream. This is from a concept from Adrian Wilkins. Here is his... Are you out of here, Zeno? Alright, buddy. I like Smooth Stronger. It's good. In the right circumstances. If I can't get enough smooth and I just need to boost it up some more, I'll use it for sure. Screaming, what's up, dude? It has been forever. So yeah, Adrian Wilkins, that's where we were. So this is the concept that he did for Horizon Zero Dawn NPC characters. Give me a second, guys. Thanks, Mr. Hako. I'm not sure if it's Hako or Hako, so apologize. So yeah, this is the concept. Adrian Wilkins, Horizon Zero Dawn. I really liked this guy because he's got kind of a lot of character to him. He's got really awesome difference in materials, not just cloth to hard surface, but you know, heavy leather to like tweed to soft cotton to, you know, thin leather to a different type of leather. Thanks, man. There's always things that you're not happy about, but overall, I personally learned a lot in material sculpting for this guy. Yeah, lots of variety to this guy. And that was one of the big things that kind of sold me on him. And that, and it wasn't, it was, you know, he's got some character to him. Kind of a pot-belly guy. It's always more fun to work on something a little bit different than your typical, like, barbarian, big muscled, crazy, beat your face in guy. You know what I mean? This guy looks like, honestly, this guy looks like somebody like you'd want to go and to the medieval pub with, you know, and just slam some brews back, you know. Dad bod represent in game. Yep. All right. Let's continue some of this. Dad bod. That's hilarious, man. Okay, so let's roll from here. So I want to go back to my morph brush, pull some of this stuff back out a little bit. Let's pull this guy back. I'm getting into, I forgot to store a morph brush after I smoothed all that, so I'll just kind of have to brunt force that guy up there. Okay, so that's okay, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. Alright, so let's go back with some... I love my interface. It's crazy, dude. Disclaimer, if any of you guys are new to ZBrush, don't be intimidated by my interface. I'm a messy desktop worker guy. And I like having all of my tools that I use a lot just kind of out in front of me, so I can just look at it and just go, okay, yeah, cool, we'll do that. Okay, cool. Okay, we'll do that thing. Okay. So basically what I do is I take the things that I use most in the tool palette and I just throw them out here onto the top. Yeah, slash brushes are awesome, man. I want to make sure that my steps aren't too much in between like this, you know, like this, because I don't want to have to deal with the leather that comes in there and then comes in there. I feel like that's a little bit too much, so I want it to have more or less a clean-ish separation line. So maybe I'll use a little bit of stepping, but not too much. So I want to avoid some weird areas that may cause me problems later. A little bit. The way that I did the leather was a kind of multi-step process, but it started, yes, from using leather alphas. Basically what I did was I took a leather alpha, dropped it in, and then I would go back and morph out some of the like the small noise areas like this, and then I would come back in and sculpt in other areas that I wanted to pull out. If you guys are interested, I can show you how I did them, if you would like. Okay. Then I'm just going to use yes, let's do this. Yes, I'm hearing a couple of yeses. The other thing that you can do too is if you want to just deepen some of these grooves, I can go back with just a dam standard and a large brush and just really lightly go over that, and it'll kind of push that area in on a broad spectrum instead of doing small little details. Some yes, 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 yes. Okay, I'll show you guys how I did it real quick. Let me save this for a second first. $1.6 gigs. Oh yeah, baby. All right. All right, we'll show you how to do some leather stuff. Let this guy save. Oh, that was it. Okay, cool. Where are we gonna do it? Question is, let's take. Maybe up here. We'll do a little bit. I feel like this area probably needs a little bit of love in here. So let's do that. And then what I'll do is character. We'll just go ahead and put it in this guy. So I'm going to go down. And then we're just going to smooth this stuff out real quick. Make sure that I have a clean surface to show you how I did it. Okay, so I'll make sure that, so this area right here specifically. Okay. Let me go. So usually when I do any kind of like drag alphas, I usually do it in a standard brush, mostly because I don't want to mess up the initial settings of like my clay buildup or any of these other ones. Standard is pretty much your standard. So alright, so I'll go to the alpha and then just do import, and then I'm going to go grab my file real quick. See if I can find it first. Is it this one? I think I grabbed it right the first time. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. I think that one's it. Let's see. Thanks, Underclocked Arts. Appreciate it, man. Think this is the one that I want. So usually we'll just pull this out real quick in full mode. Thanks, pre-drag. Just to see. So the reason why I don't use the alpha just like this is that it just becomes a little bit too noisy, and I really want to use the materials in Substance for kind of all of this noise, the sub noise, right? What I'm really interested in is the big lines, you know, like these guys. But you know, I want to be able to have different patterns, and not just stuck with this kind of like X pattern, right? Because if I do that again, then you start getting way out of control. Like this is way too much, and it's not looking like leather anymore. So what I'll do is I'll store a morph target first. And again, let's put on ghosting. Is it ghosting? Transform, transparent, and ghost is what it is. You can use ghosting or not. I usually use ghosting, and then I put transparency on a quick key. Shift V is mine. So I put V for solo, and then Shift V for transparency, so I can really quickly go between those. So this area right here specifically is what I want to hit, right? So what I would do is I'd come in and just maybe a lower intensity. I just grab a little bit here, and I really like this area more, so I think I'm gonna try to get that. The basic idea that I'm gonna do is I want to just get a start. I really like that right there. So this piece right here, so I just really want to get a start on this. So that's what I use my alpha for, and then what I'll do is I'll come back with the morph brush and then just get rid of all this. I don't want all of that. Just want something to start from. Right, so I don't necessarily want all that. And then I may come in and just pull some of this back. Again, I'm just using that morph brush after I'd stored the morph target. I really just want something nice and light in here to get me started so I can have happy accidents. Right, give myself kind of a good launching point. So something really, really light in here. But now I have some cool stuff that I can trace on here, right? So now I'll come back with my dam standard, and I'll just start pulling some of these out, right? So this is how I get started really quickly and easily. I can focus on the areas and the direction that I want to get in that specific area, and then I can just add a little more wherever I want, right? And I can just mimic those same patterns. Right? And then I can add to, or right, so I want to show nice wear coming through this way. Those happy little leather lines. Just happy little leather lines. This is my zen right here. I love doing fine details. I could just zone out and do this for hours and hours. Okay, so then once I start getting some of the lines that I like, the next part is the inflate brush. So I'll come in, use my inflate to just pull out some of these areas that have been buckling over a long period of time, right? And just add a little bit of that surface variation. All right. There we go. That's basically how I did almost all of the leather on this guy. So same thing over here, right? So came in and just used those light alphas, and then morph brushed out some of the bigger areas, and then come back and did a little bit of sculpting in those specific areas, and then just hit it with some inflate just to really pull out some of those spots. And then just, so for me, I try to keep those little steps, or those little processes, as simple as possible. Maybe 3 steps, maybe 4, between 2 and 4 steps, so that I remember how to do it personally when I go back and do it later. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's a way to get really nice specific leather details in those areas. Now for me, this is a little bit too uniform, so I would probably go back and use my morph brush. Maybe I'll pull out some of this. Yeah, it's good for any kind of skin. Skinwear is great for that. I think the main selling point is that just that last inflate. It really helps just pull out some of that, you know, like when skin buckles, you know, it's like a theory of not theory of relativity. It's that it's got to go somewhere, right? So it can't just go in. It pushes up when it goes in, right? So if you just think of the basic physics of it, you know, it pulls up like this. So just hit that with a little bit of inflate, good to go. So that's pretty much how I did all this too, right? So down here. So I just did that in specific areas where some of that skin relativity, yeah. Underclocked, yeah. I for most of the stuff, all these major pieces, I just use extract and ZBrush and then panel loops to get these pieces. But then I did use Marvelous Designer for the pants. For me, it's just easier. I just did some thick pants with a little bit of elastic to it in this area, and then threw some rope there. For me, it's much quicker and more natural to. And then I just sculpted this down here. You can tell it's kind of still chunky. Still got a lot of work to do down here, but it just gives it really nice cell for those major folds. Okay, let's get back to this bad boy. Let's get back to the trim deets. Okay, and then we'll do a little bit of inflate. Maybe we'll go down to 5. And we'll just pull this up just a touch. Not too much, but then what I could do is hit this with a really light dam standard with a big brush, and then just kind of push some of that in. Really nice and light. I could actually pull my Z intensity down a little bit. One of my favorite uses of dam standard is a large brush and really light. You can start getting some really cool surface breakup. You know, maybe there's actually nah, that doesn't look right. Alright, let's see how far away read is doing. Yeah, it's feeling good. It's feeling consistent with this up here, the finished stuff. And that's another reason why I try not to make each one of these little methods too complicated. It's less that I have to remember. Like, crap, how did I do that again? And then when you come back, you know, weeks later, you're like, everything looks different because I don't remember how I did it. Alright, let's go back to the slash brush. Let's just continue this bad boy. Alright, I'm going to store a new morph target. Ugh. Come on. Okay. Before we do the second row, let's go back with my morph brush. Okay, that's fine. Store a new morph target. Let's go back to my slash. Saving. Underclocked arts. I missed your question earlier about normal maps. So yeah, it's going to be basically a mixture of what I'm sculpting here and what I'm going to be putting into my materials in Substance Painter later. So it's one of the main reasons why I don't want to do kind of this noise all over, is because I'm going to use a mixture of materials and sculpt for the final look for the leather. That's why I really want to do this specific stuff, because that's really tough to nail with material in Substance. So the overall noise will end up being the material in Substance Painter, and then the major folds and stuff, the characterized stuff, will be sculpted. Okay, let's go back to my morph. Let's pull any of this stuff out from this side. Let's make sure I'm not going over too far here. Or here. Okay, that all looks good. That looks good. Okay, cool. Then let's go to... Damn standard. We'll start pulling this stuff in. Actually going to start from the bottom here. You guys have had good questions today. Keep me on my morning toes. Always happy to answer more though, if you guys have any questions. Again, I'm purposefully not just doing one straight line through here, so that I get some just natural breakup. The metal rings, yeah, so what I did for these ones, let's just switch over to these guys real quick, if I can. There you go. What I did was I just created this base from a cylinder. I used ZBrush. So I created a cylinder, made it super skinny, and then Q-meshed those areas out and extruded these, made up a whole point, pushed it through, extruded those through, and then I created an insert mesh brush from this, and then just went in the right areas and just dropped them in. From there, made the big stitches again the same way. So I made one large stitch, created an insert mesh brush from it, and then dropped them in those areas, and then went back with a move brush and kind of moved them all into place. Yep, that's how I did it. That's my story. Just creating an insert mesh brush is just so quick and easy that sometimes it's one of the easiest ways to do it. I also wanted to make sure that all of them were the same size. So if you set the right brush size, and when you drag out an insert mesh and you hold control, it'll snap to the size of whatever your brush is. So I just made sure that I selected a brush size that looked good, and then remembered that for different areas, and then just snapped them into place. If you guys do a quick Google search for Pixelogic Webinar Z Modeler brush, When they introduced the Z Modeler brush, Joseph and Paul did a really great webinar explaining the thought process behind using it and putting it together, and went through all of the major pieces of that brush. Is really, really informative. What bottle are you talking about? This one? Exactly, pre-drag. It's a different methodology and different way of thinking, but it's worth it. Man, Q-mesh is just beyond. Okay, cool. I'll show you how I did that in a second. Q-mesh is a whole nother world, man. So I'm just going down in subdivision levels and adding a little bit more roundness to these pieces. That way it preserves all of that upper level detail. And then now when I go back up, I get a little bit more roundness to these areas. Yeah, right? That was a good webinar. They went over a lot of good stuff in there. You can also look up Michael Pavlovich. He also streams here. He does some really, really great tutorials for ZBrush. Yeah, give me 1 second, Balkarn, and I'll show you guys how I did that. All right, so what I want to do is this right here on the leather side is looking too uniform. So I think what I'm going to do is just go through with my dam standard and just kind of break this up a little bit. Just kind of going with what feels good. All right, now it feels a little bit better in here. It doesn't feel so single lined. Pav Mike on Twitch, yes. Or you can find his stuff on YouTube as well. Okay, let's push this in a little bit more. Making sure this separation is good. And you know, I may actually go back with the pinch brush in here too and really pull some of these together. Might be a good way to do it. Let's try that real quick actually. Sometimes when you're doing this kind of separation, it can get a little bit uniform looking. Just the space between here. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll come through with a pinch and just vary that up just a little bit. Things can get out of hand pretty quickly with a pinch brush, so I try not to overuse it too much. See if I can just bring all of that together. Wondering if I use a bigger brush, it'll just throw these together a little bit more. That's kind of looking cool. I try not to use the pinch brush too much because what it does is it really affects the underlying topology. And then if you want to go and sculpt on that area, things get a little bit weird. Yo, what's up, Craig Kelly? How you doing, man? Yes, Pav Mike does do some streams on his current one as well. Definitely check him out, man. He's done a lot for the industry. He gives a lot of free tutorials. Bless his heart. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Of course, I would go back and make sure to continue this throughout, but for the sake of time, I think I'll skip that for the moment. Alright, so we've got some pretty good inconsistencies. We've got a good semi-natural feel for the separation here. These two curvatures look pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's take a look from back here. Bless his heart. Alright, so we've got enough shape and direction breakup to make it not look uniform. Alright, so we got some of these kind of like nice different angles going on, different thicknesses. Alright, we've got maybe a different thickness to this border of the leather and the tweed there, which is cool. Right, like this feels good. Yeah, it feels good. Now what I would do is I would go back and smooth all this stuff out and do it to the same piece. This is just block out. But we'll save that for the moment. How did I do? We had a question about the bottle. The bottle was pretty easy, honestly. So I just created a base shape. I don't have... Let's see. Can I hide this one? Hide that one. There you go. Anyways, I created a cylinder, and then I masked out a portion, extruded it with a move brush, and then I flattened the sides, smoothed everything out, did a ZBrush on it. So that was this, and then I duped it to create this outer piece, and then just sculpted in this area and sculpted up the outer area to make it look like that. Right, and then I used insert mesh brush to insert these bad boys, obviously before I sculpted the holes. So I went in and put those in, and then just used a move brush to kind of like vary up some of these pieces. Right, moved them in and moved them up and over and crisscrossing and all that stuff. And then I went back to this piece and just sculpted these areas in real quick. Like that. And then just created a cork for it. How did I make these holes? Which ones? The ones on the water? On this guy? Are you talking about these holes? On the bottle and the belt. Yeah, this was just this is just sculpted. Oops, let's do this. Right? I just sculpted that in. But because I had that other surface, it's not actually a hole, right? It's just going into a different surface. That's all. Like that. Well, I'd either use topological on my clay buildup, or what I would do from here is select this dude and then just put a mask on this. Hide these bad boys. And then I would come in here and just
Hopefully that makes sense. And on the belt was a little bit different. I actually used so I used the ZBrush, and then so I made just straight belts, right, with straight topology, and then with the Z modeler brush, went into points, did a split point like this, and then can't do it with layers. Awesome. Yeah, well, that's a cool story, bro. Let's just bake it all real quick. Yes. So, oh, subdivision levels. Let's just delete higher here. So then I did split point like this, and then I made sure to do it exactly on the other side, and then just Q-meshed it through. And then I did a either a Q-mesh for the whole thing. Oh my god, stop. Or a panel loop, and that'll give me those holes. Easy peasy, man. Easy peasy. So the same thing I did with these holes on these straps is the same, pretty much the exact same thing I did for this piece. All right, it's not actually holes; they're just sculpted in. Easy peasy. Lemon. Hey, you okay over there? In. Tricks. Show them tricks. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt live in front of your very eyes to do this strap. I have no idea how it's going to work out, so we're gonna go off script here. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. So what I'm looking at is this system of straps here. Gonna do it. Care whatever you say. I'm gonna do it. Maybe. We'll see. Okay. Let's put this back. I do have a custom belt brush that I'm going to use. And I think I got this from Bad King, actually. Let's go to my hard surface. Leather straps by Sida, I think is what it's called. Yeah, here it is. Leather straps by Sida. Actually, you know what? Here we go. Polybeast.de. If you guys are interested in grabbing that. Basic leather straps by CXYDA. I'm not sure how you spell that person's name. Say that name. But if you would like to find this yourself, I use this brush all the time. It's got some really, really awesome pieces in it. And it's just a curved brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one to start. What is this layer? Oh, that's what that is. We're going to call this layer scratches. Let's save it first. I got a feeling. So let's save this guy first. Pardon me, that was in your ear. Apologize. Save. Robin Labs. Sorry, I think I missed your question earlier. How much geo could you cut to make it game friendly. I'm assuming you're asking what's a good poly count for this guy for game mesh, and I would probably say it's current gen. So I would probably try to get him around 80,000 triangles, probably. Somewhere around there. Maybe 100 total with beard cards and whatever hair cards I'd use back here. But that was if he's main character, or at least a hero character. Okay. So, if you're using an insert mesh brush, you can't have subdivision layers, and I believe you can't have layers. Let's just make sure. Yep. So what I'm gonna do is, so I don't mess this up and actually save over it. I usually will just duplicate the tool, and then it doesn't matter, right? We'll delete that dude. And now I can do whatever to this, and it doesn't matter because I have that original back there. Alright. We're going to see what this starts looking like here. Yes, that was just, I did create the, maybe I'll just throw this down here like this. Whoa, not that low. I just used Fibermesh for that. I think that may... It's close. That's actually pretty close. What I'm going to do is just pull this dude this way a little bit to pull him down. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I just used a Fibermesh. I'll go and show you after we do this, if I have time. I'm off in about 20 minutes or so, so if I have time. I feel like that's okay. I feel like this is... I think the only thing is this, the thickness that I want, and I actually think I want it a little bit thicker. So I'm going to change my brush size, and while the curve is still active, I can just click on him and it will be bigger. Not that big. Thanks, pre-drag. Yes, you are correct. Pretty much just a placeholder. Let's see. I feel like I can change the width later, but what I really want to make sure is that this triangle is about the size that I want. I think maybe just a touch smaller. So maybe, let's say 35. And we'll just touch this dude once like that. I think that's fine. So I'm going to remember 35. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is split unmask points. There we go. So I've got that. And now what I can do is just come in and just do a little tweaking here. Why is there two of them? Good question. There's not. It was a bug. It was a visual error. Just kind of get this into the position that I want it. And then maybe I'll just use the move tool to just get some of this variation going on. You'll notice that it's a little bit low poly, which is fine. I can actually go in and create more spans if I want to. And then what I'll do maybe is I'll use control click on this guy, which is not going to work unless I have polyframes. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just do auto groups. And now, excuse me, let's hide this dude, hide these guys. And then what I can do is control, if I'm on move tool, control click. And what that should do is, that should mask, well, it's not going to do it there. Okay, never mind. Actually, yeah, well. It's actually just easier to do that. Unhide everything and then flip the mask. There we go. So I'm gonna make sure that this is going the right way here. And then we'll just rotate this guy down. Dope. Mask those guys off real quick. Okay. Feel like that's okay for now. Cool. Now what I think I may do to this is a little trick that I like to use when I'm using a curve mesh. Right, so I want to control this curvature really closely. So what I may do is actually create a shape in this curve and then draw my curve brush along that shape, so that I don't have to fight the forms of the actual piece that I put down. I can just use the underlying form to control that shape. So what I'm going to do is, let's go to this dude. Let's just go B for brush, import, we'll just do a primitive. I'm just going to grab a sphere, insert cube. We'll just throw something on there like that. We'll do split unmasked points. I'm going to grab this guy. We're going to go to my tool. Alright, so I'm just going to get a plane in this area and then subdivide it and then just use my move tool to kind of get it in the right area, just so I can play with that curve a little bit easier. Alright. Actually, you know what, let's go here, let's do polycube. Subdivide, subdivide, subdivide. Let's make this bigger. So what I did is I just used the modifier and changed that to a polycube because I don't like the topology on that. What I want to do is go back to my polycube. I want enough there. I don't need too much there. And I really probably will need a couple of those there. Maybe even less. Okay, and then we go back to Gizmo, and then let's just do this. And I actually think I can come back in here to my polycube and add, well, no, I guess I can't. It resets it. That's fine. Let's just do that. Go back to my Gizmo. Pull this. Alright, I think that's fine. So now what I'm going to do is just use my, oops, no, move. Alright, and then just kind of get this plane into the basic form that I want this to follow. It doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe this will rotate up here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just want to establish this curve. Maybe it'll come in a little bit more. I'm going to have a little bit of slack in here. How's that feel? I think that'll work. Okay, so I got no subdivisions. I think I'm okay on that. So let's go back to our belt. I was on 35, so I want to remember that number to keep those thicknesses similar. And then we're going to change this one to one with just the hoop here. Let's try this one. Cubit, what's up, buddy? Uh-oh, it's gonna crash. Don't crash! Don't crash! Cross your fingers for me, guys. Ah! 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 No! Rip. Hey, saving file in progress. I love the fact that Pixelogic built in an autosave after a crash. Or during a crash, whatever you want to call it. Son of a bee. Alright, let's try it again. Let's see where it saved us. No! Oh, this is close. Oh, that's just the document. Never mind. Abnormal termination does sound like a Dolph Lundgren or a Rutger Hauer movie. So this is the actual ZPR. The document is just a really bad date night. Alright, come on, baby. Cross your fingers for me, guys. Oh, yes. Bless your heart, Pixelogic. for adding that. Thank you so very much. Yeah, buddy. Alright, let's save let's save this real quick. Okay. And then I'll show you, so you get the idea here. So this is a little trick I came up with a while ago. Just if you have a specific plane or area that you want that that curve brush to go, a lot of times it's easier to just create the plane. You know what I mean? There we go. Ooh, it's duped. Why is it duped? Oh, that's a little weird. Let's do auto groups. Let's delete that auto group. Let's do delete hidden. Okay, then let's go just back to a curve brush. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's do that. Let's go brush, curve, just any curve brush is fine, and then I could just alt click on something and that'll get rid of that curve. That's how I get rid of those. Alright, so then now what I can do, the idea was to just get this guy. I don't really care about these little things. I can just insert mesh brush those later. What I really care about is just getting this to the right. The right moment, the right angle, the right state of being. I'm just going to use broad movements here. I can just hide that for now. Actually, you know what I'll do is I'll just hide everything but this guy. Haha! I win! So another reason I keep transparency on a quick key is now I can rotate around here and do this while still seeing everything else. It comes really handy when you're doing that. And you kind of got a bunch of other stuff to work around. Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, that whole visceral thing sucked. But it all worked out. I am now working at Crystal Dynamics as a character artist, and I freaking love it, man. Great company. Great company and awesome project that we're working on. There we go. So let's see how that's looking. Right? So we got that. It's coming. It's coming along. Right? We'll just have to fix this up here. Yep, one closes, another one opens. You just never know, you know? Keep a positive attitude. Don't be a dick. Excuse me. Don't be be a nice person. How about that? Karma. Okay, so we get the idea here. I'll probably do the same thing for the other side over there, and then just work on. Let's actually, you know what? I'm trying to make enough time real quick to go over that Fibermesh stuff real quick before I end the stream. Don't be a duck. That's right. I'll go back to my brush here. Alright, so then probably what I would do is I just grab this guy. And then I probably just drop one of him 1. There we go. Maybe 2. So what I'll do is, if these are embedded into a curve brush, I'll just drop them. That's fine. And then just split those out. Split hidden. Grab this dude. Do an auto groups. Merge similar. No, that's not what I want. Let's just delete this dude and this dude. Then we'll do delete hidden. And then boom, now I've got the guy. Got the one that I want. The one that I want. Wow. Sorry about that. That was a grease moment. I don't know how the hell that came up. Wow. I'm not necessarily a grease kind of guy, so I don't really have any idea where that just came from. Okay. So then let's turn that back off. Maybe we'll actually make this just a little bit bigger. Okay. Rotate this guy. Pull him down like this. Right, so we just start blocking that out. Grab this. Let's go ahead and split this dude off in case I need him. Let's hide this guy. No, that's not the one I want. Let's hide those guys. Let's hide these guys. Switch that out. We'll delete hidden. Go to the move tool. Control click to mask everything but that guy. Reverse my mask. And then maybe we'll just... Nope. Why did it do that? That's weird. Oh, that's why. Cleared the mask. Then we just move these into place again real quick. At least closer to place. Got that. Okay. Then we'll mask those guys. Pull these guys back in. Something like that. Okay. Grab this dude, turn him off. Alright. That's how I would start tackling this guy. So I would do the same thing on this side, and then I would figure something out down here. I'm not sure what. Okay. So, in the last 1 minute, let's take a look at the Fibermesh real quick. After I save it. All right, who was asking about Fibermesh? Baccarat, I think. All right. Okay. So we start with the face. Yeah. Okay. Cool. It's 8 o'clock. Do you know who your local artist is? Alright, we'll do it quick. So basically what I did here was... No, I don't use Fibermesh in-game. I pretty much only just use it for look dev and for selling the concept art. Selling the high-res. It's a much different process if you're using if you want to use it in game. You would just create a plane and then create your Fibermesh and then bake that and then place those onto cards. It's the best way to do it. Any ticks? Oh my god, I need to go back to bed. Any tricks to keeping your subtools organized? No, not at all. I don't have any. I just alt click on things. That's all I do. I hardly ever actually go into here. So specifically what makes up this particular one are 3 levels. So there's this piece, there's this piece, and then there's this piece. I would probably go further if this is going to be a rendered image. Probably add way more. Yes, bake a plane would be, yeah, a single plane and then a series of those planes to with alpha on to mimic this. Yes. It's pretty long. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Hold on 1 second. I may have a link for you guys. Hold on 1 second. I think I have something amazing for you. No, fuck, what's his name? Oh, wait, I got it. Hold on, hold on. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. That's right. How to... Hair and fur. There it is. Alright, check this out. One of the character artists that I work with, Mike Simversky, actually did a full tutorial on using Fibermesh to bake cards. So you would literally do it like this. So you would make one Fibermesh off a plane like this, and then you would bake that to a plane, which would give you these maps. And then you would put down plane cards, and then your UVs would follow any one of these. So then they would match whichever ones that you want to do that. Alright, so I'll give you guys this link, and you can go through those. Yeah, you can. There's ways to do it that way, and I think you can use them for XGen. I'm not sure though. Okay, so basically what I would do, we'll do this kind of quick. So I grab the face, and then I'm going to mask out. Let's make sure my symmetry's on. I'm going to mask out the area that I want to hit. Alright, so something like this. It's a little bit more involved, Slinky. What I would say is, if you're going to do mostly ZBrush, make sure that you have a good no, not what I wanted to do. Just make sure you have a good CPU, because it's almost 100% CPU based. So just do this real quick. Yeah, just make sure you have a good CPU. I personally have a i7 6700X. X, I think is what it is. Anyway, so you just want to block out real quick a masked section of where you want i7 8700. Okay, yeah, oh yeah, that's plenty, dude. So you just want to block out the area of where you want the fiber mesh to go. Alright, and then let's go into fiber mesh real quick. I usually will start in the light box, just because it's much quicker and easier. I think it just end up using this fiber. And obviously that's You know, he's not quite the biker at the moment, or ZZ Top. So we'll head into modifiers. We'll throw our length way down, and you'll see it's actually pretty close to what I had already. So I'll do it in 3 layers. So I'm just going to do the middle layer right now. So that's almost fine. I mean, I don't really need anything too crazy. It's a little bit long for his lip. It's also easier to lengthen the fibers later than it is to shorten them. So if anything, I'll come up a little bit short in some areas, and then I'll pull out specific areas that I want to go from there. So I'll make sure that my gravity is on, right? So a lot of times it just comes straight out. So I want to make sure that my gravity is on. So it bows down somewhat. And then I feel like it's pretty thick, so I'm going to go max fibers down. Probably not that much. Something like that. Yo, Bacon, what's up, buddy? And I think I can add more. There we go. So if you want to take away certain areas, you can just pull your mask back out. It'll turn off, and then you just hit preview again. And then you can adjust kind of on the fly, which is really nice. So honestly, I feel like that's okay for the first one. I think maybe what I'll do is I pull my mask back a little bit in these areas and just use another version of this with just shorter hairs. I feel like those longer hairs shouldn't be around this area. Hit preview again. Right, so it kind of thins out down here a little bit. So honestly, I think that's fine. I would maybe use coverage if you feel there's a little bit too much. But in this particular case, I'm just going to hit accept. Fast preview, would you like to activate fast preview mode? Yeah, sure, that's fine. Okay. So now what I can do is, now that this is an actual tool, I can come in and use my regular brushes and actually move this stuff around if I want, right? So if I want to adjust some of this stuff, or I can go in and use some of those grooming brushes. I've found with those grooming brushes, it's just, man, they do not work for me at all. 63 million? Oh yeah, that's, I typically go up into like 120, 125, stuff like that, 140. So then, like, if you want to get some direction going to some of this, you can just kind of play with it. I usually will move stuff around a little bit just to get some kind of break up. No, my PC doesn't explode. It's good to have a decent amount of RAM as well. I only have 16 gigs. But you can go up to 32 these days. And the nice thing is you can mask some areas. Right, so this is just normal. Alright, so basically that's what I would do for that. And then I'd probably turn that guy off, come back to this one. Let's just clear that real quick. Actually, you know what? Let's leave it. And then what I'll do is I'm going to go back and do smaller fibers. So, and I just kind of want it around the neck area, right? So maybe around here. We'll give it a little bit of variability. Okay, let's come back into Fibermesh. Let's just do preview again, and it should come up with the previous settings, right? Then I really want to make sure that this is all gone. Okay, we'll hit preview again. Okay, so then for this, I definitely want to make sure my length is way less, right? It's going to be just that smaller beard thing. And then maybe what I want to do, coverage is fine. We'll just accept that one. Let's just do always yes. Alright, and then we'll turn both these on. Alright, so now I've got some of that little bit of transition going on. And then you can just, something like that. And then if I want to do the same thing, let's clear that. And then maybe I want to do longer pieces around his chin, right? Who knows? And maybe some longer pieces through here. Look at that, right? So then let's go back into Fibermesh. We'll do preview again, right? And that had the same. If you want to make a goatee, cool way to make it do it too. Nose hairs, yeah, whatever you want to do. Yeah, you can do it for hair. I would probably do it in chunks for the hair. I'd probably just do like one main chunk and then just duplicate that subtool and then get it moved around in the right areas. So let's go length. And then what we could do too is we can go and turn these on to see how those are looking. So maybe for this one I want to do more gravity. And then maybe I actually want to mask out a little bit of that on this side. Maybe not so much. So sometimes you can use how much of a mask that you have for, how much it is in that particular area. So let's maybe bring the length back down a little bit. Not too crazy. Just a little bit of variability. Well, let's say maybe, so my clumps are already pretty high, that's fine. Let's revolve rate. Ooh, no. Not that. Let's put 0 back on that guy. There we go. Alright, so a lot of times I'll just go through and get the length and coverage pretty much where I want it to be. Maybe we'll throw the coverage down a little bit. And then I'll just accept it. And then from here I'll use my move brush. Kind of like, let's pull some of these areas out a little bit. Maybe I'll just do small sections. Right, break up some of that. And pull this in a little bit. And get some of these pieces kind of going out and coming in a little bit more. And then maybe I'll use a lot of times once I get to that point, I'll use my move topological instead, and then just pull some of these hairs out, just kind of like strand by strand, just to get some of those flyouts happening. And the cool thing is that this is actual geo, so if you want to poly paint it, you can. So maybe we'll color grab that. Maybe we'll lighten it up just a little bit. And then we'll go to my standard brush, and we'll use RGB, and then maybe we'll just lighten it up a lot more. Let's color grab that. Let's fill that. Okay, there we go. And then now we'll come in. Oh, why aren't you working? Anyways, that's how I do it. You can go in and do all kinds of fun stuff. Again, I just did it really quick, but that's basically how I ended up with these pieces. So I had just the fine stuff down here. That's cool. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff, you know, like he hasn't shaved in a long time kind of thing, you know. And then I did the main part of the beard, and then I just did the front, and then just did a quick poly paint on it. There's different ways, Balkan. It's kind of dependent on what you do in game. It's as of this right now, it's not the best way to do it. It should render because it's actually geo, but it's not the way that we would actually do it in game. That's a whole nother 4-hour topic. 4 to 10 to 2-week topic. But yeah, so basically the only reason why I would use this Fibermesh in here like this is just for look dev and to sell the concept to, you know, an art director or a lead that is giving me feedback. Yeah, alpha cards. Yeah, alpha cards is what we would use. That's still the best way, and usually the best way is still just placing them by hand. I wish, man. I wish. I gotta get to the family, so I gotta go get my daughter up. But yeah, so I think we got some good stuff done today. We did some trim. Did all this trim stuff. We showed a little bit more on how to do the leather details. Start blocking out the belt, and then we went over Fibermesh. That was fun. That was fun. Much more to do on this guy. Even though looks like he's getting there, there's still a lot more to do before I'd be ready to sign off on this guy and make him bake ready. So tune in next time. Probably Saturday mornings, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific time. But I'll continue to be working on the high res on this guy. If I do get some time to do personal streams, I have already blocked him out for retopo, so I probably will be doing some moto stuff on my personal stream if I get to it in the next couple weeks. It's busy at work right now, so feel free to give me a follow on my personal channel, which is www.twitch.tv/Brendon Isaiah Bengtson. Yep, moto. Yep, I'm a moto guy. And then we got some other really good artists that are streaming later today. So stick around for some other great streamers on the Pixelogic channel. Don't forget to follow the Pixelogic channel. The team over at Pixelogic is absolutely amazing, and they do some great work. So they give us the awesome tools. So any chance I get to give back to them, I always do. So give them a follow and watch some other streamers on here. And in that case, I hope you guys had some fun. Hope you guys learned a thing or two. And most of all, I hope you're inspired to go make your own cool stuff. So do it. Go make some cool stuff. Alright. See you guys. Have a great weekend. Peace.